Can you imagine you work for the city of Chicago, you work for Department of Streets and Sanitation, and your job is to collect garbage. You're in an alley, South Normal, the 110 Hunter block, cans to the back of the truck, it lifts it up, the garbage goes into the back of the truck, and you get to 11026 Normal. You put the can, just like all the others, up to the back of the truck, it lifts it, and out comes a body that's wrapped in a blanket and it's cinched together with suspenders. I'm Dan Stover, a retired Chicago homicide detective. 33 years on the job, 22 of those in homicide. These are real cases told from my perspective. Well, that's what happened to this lady that was doing the collection. Can you imagine the fright on it that she experienced when she seen that? They call the police. Police respond, uniformed personnel respond, cordon off the alley with yellow crime scene tape, and they call the detectives. And we respond. Enter the alley, walking up to the back of this garbage truck. The garbage people are standing over to the side, waiting to be interviewed. You look into the back of the truck, and there's this poor victim, a lady. Somebody's mom, somebody's daughter, somebody's whatever, in the back of a garbage truck in the city of Chicago. We have her remains. She's removed. The garbage can is taken as well. Everything is taken to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office for autopsy and further investigation. Well, before removing her, her hands are bagged. I've talked about this before in other videos. We bag the hands, it's paper bags, and we do that in an effort to maintain the integrity of anything, DNA, anything that would have evidentiary value for a future prosecution. It's all taken to the medical examiner's office. We continue doing our part, looking for cameras, knocking on doors, identifying ourselves and explaining this is what we're doing here. We're investigating a murder. Did you hear anything? Did you see anything? That's part of our job. So this was on October 14th of 2008. The next day, the autopsy is performed at the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. So during the autopsy, the DNA swabs are taken of the remains of this person, who we now know is Linda Morgan. The swabs are taken from Linda's rectum, vaginal cavity, her hands, the fingernails, as well as the suspenders that cinched the blanket together. So the doctors performing the autopsy, she concludes that Linda died from strangulation. And it was her opinion that it was probably done by the hand. And she also concluded that she probably was dead about 36 hours prior to being recovered in the back of the garbage can. So toxicology is requested during this autopsy, and the toxicology came back sometime later. It takes time, but it concluded that she did have, in fact, cocaine in her system, and she probably indulged in this cocaine 30 to 60 minutes before her death. She also had pretty high amount of alcohol in her system. But the toxicology report also said that really wasn't evidence that she was a chronic cocaine user, for whatever that's worth. Linda is what we called a working addict. She was responsible. She lived Monday through Friday. She lived a life that she worked. She took care of her family, her kids. She did everything you're supposed to do. But when Friday came, it was time to party. That was Linda. Doesn't make her a bad person at all. So many people do that. Do they deserve to be killed? Did she deserve to be strangled? Thrown in a garbage can? No. So part of our job of being a homicide detective is you have to talk to people. You have to locate friends, family members. It's a lot of times, again, if you remember, what do we have at the beginning of this? We got a lady in the back of a garbage truck. What do you do? And I talked about that. You gotta talk to people. Although you take DNA swabs and all that, that stuff all takes time to come back. And in the meantime, you have to start building your case. You have to talk to people. And one of those people we interviewed was a lady we'll refer to as Marie. Marie told us about her current boyfriend, and they'd been together for many years, and his name was Henry Sandifer. And Marie said that Henry's mom used to own a house on that same block, 11036 Normal, just a few doors down from where Linda's remains were recovered at 11026 Normal. She said that 5 years prior to the murder, she lived with Henry and Henry's mom, and at some point Henry's mom passed away. And eventually the house went into foreclosure. Well, once it was foreclosed, it gets boarded up. And the way they go, well, Henry found a way for him and Marie to sneak back into the house and just keep it as if it was his house. They would go in it, they'd have sex, they'd get high, they'd eat, whatever. And so that, like I said, that's about 5 years before Linda is killed. Well, at some point an investor purchased this house, single family house, and starts renovating it. Drywall, floors, cabinets, whatever. Well, they're still sneaking back into the house. As a matter of fact, we discovered what was called a contact card, where Henry was still, he told the police he was still staying there. He felt that that was still his home, even though legally it was foreclosed. So at some point, we get notified by the Illinois State Police Division of Forensic Services. That's the scientists. Those are the people that do the science on these cases, the DNA, fingerprints, whatever evidence we request to be worked up. And we find out through them that the swabs that were taken vaginally, through her rectum, her fingernails on her right hand, and the suspenders that were used to cinch up the blanket around Linda's body all had a major profile. It's what they call the frequency of a random person matching the profile. It's major. It's 1 in 340 trillion for black, 1 in 340 quadrillion for white, and 1 in 9.2 quadrillion for Hispanic. And the major profile comes back to who? Henry Sandifer. So prior to getting those DNA numbers back, we were already kind of focusing in on Henry Sandifer because, think about it, a lot of detective work is common sense. So the remains of Linda Morgan are recovered 3 doors down from this vacant house where Henry Sandifer stayed. He definitely is somebody that needs to be talked to. Not saying there was probable cause at that point to arrest, but now once we found out that his profile matched those DNA swabs that were taken, Now we have probable cause. And his profile hit, and we learned that he was in custody of the Cook County Jail Department of Corrections, and he was in custody for an unrelated charge. So we did what's called a writ. We prepare the paperwork to take temporary custody of Henry Sandifer from the sheriff's office, from the jail. We take custody, we take him to our office, and we continue the investigation at Area 2. And that is where we intend to interrogate Henry about this crime. So Henry's inside the interview room. We come in, advise him of his rights. We get him to talk. He starts talking, and I'll tell you what, this is all recorded. In 2005, the Illinois said you have to record all homicide interviews and interrogations. You had to. So this is all recorded. There's no threatening. There's no torture. There's no beating. We interview him and we interrogate him. And part of that process is we lay down photographs of Linda Morgan. Henry, do you know this person? Have you ever seen her before? Have you ever had sex with her before? Ever get high with her before? Anything? Henry looks at that photograph and goes, I've never seen that lady before in my life. He says, not me. I don't. So we say, well, Henry, explain to us then, how the hell is your DNA in her vaginal cavity, her rectum, on her hands, and most of all, around the suspenders that cinch the blanket around her body? How do you explain that? Henry says, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. With that, we get done. Contact the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, Felony Review Unit. We requested an assistant comes out to review the case for appropriate charging. An assistant responds to Area 2. They go over everything, our reports, our any kind of video we have, including the interrogation video at Area 2, the forensic science reports, the DNA, what's the numbers look like. In this case, there's no doubt it's Henry Sandifer. And after reviewing all this, it takes some time, and they decide to charge Henry with the murder of Linda Morgan. We return Henry back to the sheriff's office, the Cook County Department of Corrections, with new charges of murder and sexual assault. And he is sent to court after that. And eventually we do get to trial with him, and Henry is found guilty and sentenced to, I believe it's 60 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections. But it's not the end of Henry Sandifer yet. Do we have a serial killer on our hands? We get notified of another profile from another murder, very similar in nature. That victim's name is Angela Kirkling. If you want to learn more about Angela's murder and Henry Sandifer, tune into the video.